So in continuation of my previous video about the Greater Fire Spirit Ifrit, let's talk about his host SHIZU Izawa, the Conqueror of Flames, and take a look at her character as a whole. We'll also be going over some of her skills and abilities to see just how strong she really was. As usual, here's a spoiler warning for her character and the story of Tensura, so watch at your own discretion. And if you enjoyed this video and want more breakdowns like this, be sure to like the video and maybe subscribe to the channel while you're at it, it helps a lot. To start, who was Shizue Iizawa? Well, before she came to the Tensura world, she was a Japanese person just like Rimuru himself, but the periods in which they had lived were completely different. Shizue was someone from the World War II era while Rimuru came from the modern era. And when she was just 8, Tokyo was bombed by the Allies and she was trying to escape from the flames, but with nowhere else to run, she heard the voice of the Demon Lord Leon Cromwell, who was currently performing a summoning ritual. He was trying to find his childhood friend, Chloe Albert, but he ended up summoning Shizue to the Tensura world instead. And during her transfer process, her strong desires to no longer be fearful of fire caused the voice of the world to grant her the extra skills, fire manipulation, and cancel flame attack, which I'll talk more about later in the video. So after she arrived to the Tensura world, she found herself inside one of Leon's research facilities, and with serious burns all over her body, she was close to death. But not wanting to die, she pleaded with Leon to save her, so he summoned the Greater Fire Spirit Ifrit and ordered the spirit to possess her body. And the reason he did this is because Shizue was summoned using a dangerous method which caused her body to be infused with a very high concentration of magic heals, and if the magic heals were left unchecked, it would eventually implode, so that's why a greater spirit like Ifrit was needed to fuse with her body. So with that, Ifrit possessed a body which managed to control the abundant magic heals inside her and help prevent the physical breakdown of her body. However, during the possession, Ifrit was trying to erase her consciousness, and because she didn't want to lose herself, she was able to acquire the unique skill Deviant, and it was thanks to this that her consciousness was protected. The possession was now completed and Shizue was able to retain her mind as well as being saved from death, although her body was now under Ifrit's control. But in any case, Shizue eventually became the personal aide and bodyguard of Leon Cromwell, and one day, a Majin assassin by the name of Koenig was sent by Demon Lord Claimant to kill Leon, so Ifrit took control and incinerated the Majin. This was actually the first time Shizue killed a living being, and because she was still a child, that experience has scarred her, leaving her filled with guilt and fear. But somehow her negative emotions soon disappeared, and this was caused by Ifrit exerting his control over her, likely to keep her from losing her mind. And so this symbiotic relationship between the two would continue, with Shizue constantly killing any intruders that threatened Leon over the years and Ifrit removing any negative emotions she experienced. Now, because of her excellent performance as a subordinate, Leon asked Shizue for a name and he changed it from Shizue Iizawa to just Shizue, and it seems that after a few years with her new name, she started to regain more control over her body. She even started spending her life training at the facility, learning how to fight without relying on the power of Ifrit. Also, during her time there, she befriended another girl named Pirino and later discovered her taking care of a wind fox. She decided to help take care of the wind fox and brought the creature to meet Leon. However, the creature probably sensed the aura of Leon and started to act hostile towards him, which caused Ifrit to emerge. The spirit proceeded to incinerate the wind fox along with Pirino, and after Shizue regained control, she was filled with regret and sadness, but like always, Ifrit simply erased her negative emotions. And although we see that Leon's reaction was quite cold, he actually blamed himself for causing so much grief to Shizue. That's why when the hero Konoha came to his facility, he decided to leave Shizue behind because he knew the hero would take her in and he deemed it was better for her to live in the human world than to be raised by a demon lord. When Shizue met the hero, she was given the anti-magic mask which helped to suppress the will of Ifrit, and with the spirit no longer dominating her, all the negative emotions that she felt over the years came pouring out, making her realize her resentment for Ifrit and how much she hated this world, but luckily the hero was there to comfort her. So with that, Shizue became the travelling companion of the hero, and later she was introduced to the Adventurer'S Association, the precursor of the Free Guild, and during her time there, she was able to make new friends as well as learn many things about the world and how it worked. She even learned how to harness Ifrit's powers without waking him and causing a burden on her body, and somewhere along the line, Shizue became known as the Conqueror of Flames and was considered to be a highly skilled spirit wielder gifted in the arts of fire and explosive magic. She would then spend many years adventuring with the hero, but eventually the hero had to leave, which I'll talk more about in a bit. But continuing on, Shizue would travel around the world on her own, helping anyone in need, and apparently during one of her adventures, she had encountered the Black Primordial NOIR and formed an unlikely mutual relationship with him. This was largely thanks to her anti-magic mask, which had caught the attention of NOIR because it apparently transcended even time itself. And after their encounter, NOIR would secretly observe her from the spiritual world, and this was how he learned about Rimuru temples. So I think it's safe to say that without Shizue, Rimuru would have not gotten the most powerful sim in the world to work for him. But jokes aside, another notable adventure to mention was when she had to help defend Blue Moon against a dragon attack. Because during this battle, she was unable to defeat the dragon, so she was forced to awaken Ifrit and use his power. She managed to defeat the dragon, but she was left in a coma for a week, and because of this, she discovered that although her appearance wasn't aging, her vitality itself was slowly decaying and her ability to control magic use was becoming weaker. So this forced her to retire, and she became an instructor at the Adventurers Association, where she would cultivate many talented students like Yuki Kagurazaka and Hinata Sakaguchi. And it was during this period that she helped Yuki to restructure the entire association into the new Free Guild, increasing the safety for humans and expanding the influence of the Free Guild. Also at some point in time, she became the homeroom teacher for a group of otherworldly children called the S-Class, which comprised of Chloe Albert, Kenya Misaki, Ryota Sekiguchi, Gil Gibson, and Alice Rondo. And because the children were suffering the same unstable magical infliction that causes death, Shizu was trying to find a way to help them. She would eventually go on one more adventure to find Leon because she knew he had the knowledge to save the children, and also she wanted to understand his genuine thoughts about her and why he abandoned her. That was how she would arrive at Blue Moon again, and she ended up traveling with Alan's party into the Great Jura Forest. Inside the forest, she was able to meet Rimuru, and she realized he was from Japan as well when she recognized the phrase "I'm not a bad slime" that she learned from Yuki. And I think it was sweet that Rimuru was able to show Shizu what happened to Japan after the war, and it was definitely a good way to give some closure to her. But sadly, during her stay in the Goblin Village, Ifrit finally took over her consciousness and body due to a weakened state. Ifrit would then battle Rimuru, but the spirit was eventually defeated and he was able to save Shizu. However, because Shizu had separated herself from Ifrit before he took over, she was no longer a margin and her age was slowly returning. And before she died, she had a few final requests for Rimuru: to put her to rest within himself, find out Leon's true intentions for Shizu and acknowledge her existence, and to save the otherworldly children. Of course, Rimuru eventually completed all her final wishes later in the story. Now with that said, Shizu was laid to rest inside Rimuru, and throughout the series, she was occasionally mentioned by various characters and she was indirectly involved with certain events that transpired. For example, it was because of her death that caused Hinata to seek revenge and attack Rimuru when he was at Ingratiate. Apparently, Yuki was the one that ordered Damrada to secretly leak false information to her stating that Shizu was murdered by Rimuru. But aside from that, Shizu would make an actual appearance again during the time leap story arc that happened in volume 11 of the light novel. And if you want to learn more about this event, I already did an explanation of the time leap story arc in my Chloe Albert video, so if you're interested, click on the top right corner or check the description box below for the links to the video. But to give you a quick overview of the story, basically Granbell also had tricked Yuki into unleashing the hero Klonoa, who was sealed away by Luminous Valentine. Then the time leap portion happened after Granbell killed Hinata, which triggered Chloe's powers and sent them both back into the past. So in the past, Chloe and Hinata were now sharing a body and they started their journey as a hero going by the name of Klonoa. They made sure to follow the events that happened in the present as to not alter history, and eventually Chloe's consciousness had to leave, so Hinata was left in control of Klonoa. And with Hinata acting as Klonoa, she went to Leon's facility to save Shizu so that she can give her the anti-magic mask and they will go on adventures together, giving Hinata some much needed closure with the person that she first opened up to. But when Hinata was starting to lose control over Klonoa, she had to find Luminous to seal the body away, which was the actual reason why the hero had to leave Shizu. Now going back to the present, Rimuru was trying to stop the rampaging Klonoa and had used the anti-magic mask to calm her down so that he can enter her consciousness. It was here that we see Shizu appearing again, but she was only a mental construct manifested from the memories and emotions that were residing inside Rimuru. Then the both of them would work together to rescue the consciousness of Hinata and Chloe that were trapped inside of Klonoa. They eventually succeeded, and although Shizu was just a mental construct, her reunion with Hinata and Chloe was still quite a touching and wholesome moment. At least she finally got some sort of closure with both her students, although it would have been better if she had gotten the same with Ifrit and Leon as well. And speaking of Ifrit, when he was released from Rimuru's stomach, he was quite regretful that he never opened his heart to Shizu and tried learning to understand her. Regardless, although it was depressing to think that Shizu could have been alive if they both understood each other, it's also quite somber in a way that at least deep inside of Rimuru, Shizu finally got the apology she wanted. But anyways, let us take a look at some of her abilities, and like I mentioned earlier, she received the extra skill Fire Manipulation and Cancel Flame Attack when she was crossing over to the Tensura world. And like the names imply, both these skills allow her to manipulate the fire element as well as be immune to any sort of flame attacks. She also acquired the extra skill Magic Sense when she faced Koenig, which allows her to perceive things by observing the interactions between magic use and light or sound waves. Now as for a unique skill Deviant, it has two sub-skills that came with it: Synthesis, which transforms two different targets into a single object, and Separate, which releases the properties inherent to the target, making it into a separate object. This skill was what allowed Shizue and Ifrit two very different things to synthesize into a single being and what kept Shizu's consciousness separate from Ifrit. And besides the abilities she acquired on her own, she could harness the abilities of Ifrit without formally forging a spiritual pact with him. Some of the abilities include Flame Transform, giving her the ability to harness her own magical energy and turn any part of her body or equipment into powerful flames. Another one is Body Double, and this allows the creation of remote control clones of herself out of magic, but they can be easily destroyed. Lastly, she could also use Range Barrier, which allows her to create a barrier in any shape she wants within a certain range. Now, I also wanted to mention the Anti-Magic Mask because it was a magic item that provided some additional benefits to Shizue. There were 4 effects: Magic Resist, Antidote, Breathing Support, and Amplify Sensors, and I'm sure just based on the names of the effects, they are pretty self-explanatory. Having said that, how powerful was Shizue, the Conqueror of Flames? Well, at her peak with having full control over Ifrit, she was rated to have a threat level of at least the Special Air or Calamity class, and she was likely almost at the level of a Disaster class. Anyways, Shizue is such a tragic character, having lost both her parents and was suddenly teleported to a strange new world being cursed with a wild creature like Ifrit. But despite all that, she still persevered and even started to help others so that they wouldn't have to experience the same tragedies like her as well. I think the 66 years that she spent in the Tensura world was definitely a meaningful one because she was able to affect so much about the story and even the characters.
気にしないで。私の姿で楽しく生きててくれればそれで十分。
But yeah, that was everything we know about Shizue Iizawa, the Conqueror of Flames. I really enjoyed her character story and I think the way she got her closure was quite satisfying as well. But what about you? What are your thoughts on Shizue and do you agree with my statement? I would love to see your comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification button for more breakdowns like this in the future. Thanks for watching and as always, stay safe everyone.